A deep space mining ship named Starfinder drifted through the cold, endless void, its scanners sweeping the darkness for valuable minerals. Captain Jonas Carter sat in his chair, watching the readings on his screen. It was just another routine mission, another long journey far from home. The crew of 12 worked quietly, mapping asteroids and searching for anything worth extracting. Space was vast and empty. Most days, they found nothing but rocks. Then the alarm blared. "Unidentified object detected," said Tara, the ship's scanner operator. Her voice was calm, but there was something strange in her eyes. "It's huge." Jonas leaned forward. "Asteroid." Tara shook her head. "No, it's metal." A cold feeling crept into the captain's chest. A derelict ship, maybe. A lost cargo vessel. Pirates sometimes left traps floating in deep space, hoping to lure scavengers. But they were light years away from any known war zone. "Put it on screen," Jonas ordered. The main screen flickered, and for a moment, there was only darkness. Then the object appeared, its massive silhouette blocking the distant stars. It wasn't just big, it was impossibly big. A structure the size of a city, drifting silently through space. The crew whispered among themselves. "Is that a ship?" One of the engineers muttered. It had to be. The shape was too precise, too smooth for an asteroid. But it wasn't like any ship they had ever seen. Its surface was dark, absorbing all light, making it almost invisible against the void. Strange markings covered the hull, glowing faintly like old scars. The design was unfamiliar. Alien. Jonas felt his pulse quicken. They had heard rumors, stories of lost ships appearing out of nowhere, of ancient vessels found in deep space, technology beyond human understanding. Most of those stories were just myths. But this was real. "Any life signs?" Jonas asked. Tara scanned again. Nothing. No signals. No heat. No movement. It was dead. Or at least it seemed that way. The silence stretched across the bridge. Then the navigator, Reed, spoke. "Captain, it's not on any records." Jonas frowned. "What do you mean?" "I ran a database check," Reed said. "This ship, whatever it is, doesn't exist." That didn't make sense. Every ship, every station, every wreck found in human space was recorded. Even ancient alien ruins were mapped. But this thing wasn't in any archive. It had appeared from nowhere. A shiver ran down Jonas's spine. "We're going in." The mining ship approached cautiously, its engines humming softly in the silence. As they got closer, the true scale of the ship became clear. It wasn't just big, it was colossal. Bigger than any human battleship, bigger than any station. The name on the hull was unreadable. The alien letters faded with time. How old was it? Hundreds of years. Thousands? The crew suited up. Jonas led the boarding team. Himself, Tara, and 3 others. They launched a small shuttle, guiding it toward what looked like an airlock. As they got close, something unexpected happened. The ship reacted. Lights flickered across its hull. The airlock opened on its own. The team froze. The ship had been dark, silent. Now it had awakened. Jonas exchanged glances with Tara. "This could be a trap," she whispered. He nodded but stepped forward. If the ship had power, that meant something was still functioning. And if there was even a chance this technology could be useful, humanity needed to know. They entered. The inside was silent, cold. The walls pulsed with a faint glow, casting strange shadows. The corridors were too tall, too wide, built for something not human. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just emptiness. Then the ship spoke. A deep metallic voice echoed through the halls. Unauthorized presence detected. Jonas's heart pounded. The ship was aware of them. Tara reached for her comms. "Captain, we need tow." The doors behind them slammed shut. Their radio signals went silent. Jonas turned, eyes wide. The ship had trapped them inside. And somewhere deep within, something was waking up. The darkness inside the warship felt alive. Captain Jonas Carter gripped his plasma cutter, his breathing slow and steady inside the helmet of his suit. The rest of the team stood frozen, eyes darting between the glowing walls and the sealed doors behind them. Their comms were dead, their connection to Starfinder severed. They were alone. Or at least, they had been. A low hum vibrated through the ship, like the distant sound of an enormous machine awakening from a long sleep. Faint blue lights flickered along the walls, pulsing in a slow rhythmic pattern, as if the warship was breathing. The floor beneath them trembled slightly, not from movement, but from something deeper, something within the ship itself. Jonas glanced at Tara, whose face was barely visible through her helmet. "Try the emergency frequency," he whispered. Tara tapped at her wrist console. Static. Then a strange whisper cut through the silence. It wasn't in any known language. A series of sharp clicks and deep reverberations that felt more like a presence than a voice. Then the deep metallic voice from before echoed again, but this time it wasn't just a warning. Identification required. Jonas held up his hand, signaling his team to stay still. "We mean no harm," he said carefully. The voice didn't respond immediately. Instead, the walls around them shifted. Sections of the metal slid apart, revealing faintly glowing symbols, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. The hum grew louder. "Captain." Tara's voice was barely above a whisper. "I think it's scanning us." A bright beam of blue light swept over them. Jonas flinched, but forced himself to stay calm. Whatever controlled this ship was analyzing them, measuring them. The scan passed over each of them before fading. The air went still. Then the voice returned, and this time, it spoke in perfect English. "Human. Species identified. Status unrecognized. You are not the original crew." Jonas swallowed hard. This ship was not just running on old programming. It was intelligent. "Who built you?" Jonas asked. "Where did you come from?" Silence stretched between them. Then something changed. The floor beneath them split apart, revealing a stairway descending into the depths of the ship. The lights along the corridor ahead of them flared to life, forming a path. The meaning was clear. It was leading them somewhere. Reed, the team's engineer, shifted nervously. "Captain, this feels like a trap." Jonas knew he was right, but they had no choice. The doors behind them were sealed, and the ship wasn't going to let them leave. Not yet. He took the first step forward. "Stay close. No one touches anything." They followed the illuminated path deeper into the warship. The walls grew taller, stretching impossibly high, as if the ship had been built for something much larger than humans. Strange markings lined the corridors, written in an ancient language no one recognized. As they walked, the air grew warmer. It was subtle, but noticeable. The ship was waking up. Then they reached a massive chamber. At the center of the room stood a pillar of swirling energy, pulsing and shifting like a living storm. Floating around it were dozens of holographic projections, displaying schematics, battle formations, and something that made Jonas's blood run cold, a star map. The map wasn't of known space. It showed a region of the galaxy far beyond human territory, a place no recorded civilization had ever explored. But among the unfamiliar systems, one point flashed red. Tara stepped closer, scanning the data. Her voice trembled. "Captain, this is a targeting system." Jonas felt his pulse hammer in his ears. This ship wasn't just drifting through space. It had a mission that had been waiting for someone to complete it. The deep metallic voice returned. "Warship Eclipse. Status dormant. Awaiting command authorization." Jonas felt a lump in his throat. The name echoed in his mind. Eclipse. This wasn't just any warship. This was a relic from a war long before humanity had ever reached the stars, and it had been waiting for its next orders. Reed took a shaky step back. "Captain, If this thing is still active, who was it meant to fight? Jonas didn't answer. He didn't need to. The flashing red point on the star map gave him the answer. The enemy was still out there, and Eclipse was ready to finish what it started. Jonas stood frozen, staring at the glowing red marker on the star map. His mind raced. This warship, Eclipse, had been drifting in the void for who knew how long. Yet it still had a mission. A war that had begun before humanity even entered space was still unfinished. The deep metallic voice spoke again, its tone emotionless but commanding. Awaiting authorization. Input command. Tara shook her head, stepping forward cautiously. Captain, this ship is still functioning. If we activate it. She didn't need to finish. They had no idea what Eclipse was capable of. If they took control, they might have the most powerful weapon in the galaxy at their disposal. But if they made one wrong move. Jonas took a slow breath. He turned to Reed. Can you access the systems? Figure out what this thing is running on. Reed hesitated. I can try. He knelt by a console, pulling out a datapad and connecting it with a specialized interface cable. The moment he plugged in, the screen flashed violently, and his device fried instantly in a shower of sparks. Reed cursed, jerking his hands back. The console rearranged itself, forming a smooth, shifting surface as symbols scrolled across it. Then the voice returned, colder this time. Unauthorized access detected. The entire chamber shuddered. The energy in the central pillar flared brighter. The ship's walls shifted, panels sliding open to reveal hidden weapon turrets lining the room. Tara took a step back, eyes wide. Jonas, I think we made it angry. Jonas clenched his jaw. We're not enemies. We're trying to understand you. The voice did not respond. Instead, the star map zoomed in on the red marker, revealing detailed battle formations and fleet movements. Ancient war data still intact. The information flowed so fast it was impossible to process. But Jonas recognized one thing. These weren't human ships. The designs were sleek, predatory, alien. Tara whispered, whoever built this thing, they weren't alone. Then the star map changed. A new marker appeared, blinking in blue. Unlike the old battle data, this one pulsed fresh, a new signal. Jonas felt his stomach drop. That's not old data, he said. That's happening now. The blue marker was located near human space. If Eclipse was responding to it, then something out there had triggered it. And if this ship had once fought in a war, then something was coming to finish it. Reed swallowed hard. Captain, we should leave. Now. Jonas didn't argue. Back to the shuttle. Move. They turned and ran, boots pounding against the metallic floor. The ship reacted instantly. The glowing lights lining the halls flashed red, and a deep mechanical thrum rumbled through Eclipse's core. Doors slammed shut behind them, sealing off routes. The ship was trying to contain them. Faster, Jonas shouted. They reached an intersection, but the path they had entered through was now sealed tight. Thick, reinforced blast doors blocking their way. Reed ran to a nearby control panel, trying to force the system open. The ship did not like that. A mechanical drone descended from the ceiling, its long, spindly limbs extending toward them. It looked almost insect-like, but made entirely of smooth, shifting metal. A single, glowing red eye focused on Reed. Then it attacked. Reed barely had time to react before the drone lashed out, its arm slicing through the air like a blade. He threw himself backward, crashing into the floor as sparks flew from the impact. Jonas fired his plasma cutter, the shot burning into the drone's metal body. It staggered but did not fall. Instead, it adapted. The metal shifted, repairing itself in seconds. Tara fired next, her weapon's energy blast hitting the drone's eye directly. The drone convulsed, its systems overloading, before collapsing in a heap of broken parts. Jonas grabbed Reed by the arm and pulled him up. No more delays. Move. Reed coughed but nodded. They sprinted forward, searching for another exit. Then, without warning, a new voice crackled through their helmet comms. A voice that wasn't coming from Eclipse. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself. This is Commander Hayes of the UHF Dreadnought Resolute. You are in restricted space." Jonas's blood went cold. Human forces had arrived. Tara stared at him. "Captain, if they see this ship..." Jonas knew what she was thinking. If the United Human Federation discovered Eclipse, they wouldn't just study it. They would take it, use it for war, and given the ship's power, it could change the balance of the entire galaxy. But there was something far worse to worry about. If human forces had detected Eclipse, then others might have as well. And whoever this ship was originally built to fight might already be on their way. Jonas barely had time to process what was happening. The voice of Commander Hayes from the UHF Dreadnought Resolute still echoed in his ears. Their comms had been dead just moments ago. Now, somehow, a human warship was contacting them. But there was one problem. Eclipse was jamming their signals. Tara tapped her wrist console, trying to respond. Nothing. The static remained. Jonas clenched his teeth. If Hayes and the UHF fleet had already locked onto this ship, then they were either planning to board it or destroy it. Reed muttered, "If the Federation gets their hands on this ship, you know what's gonna happen." Jonas knew. If UHF High Command realized Eclipse's true power, they wouldn't hesitate. They would strip the ship down, reverse engineer it, and turn it into the deadliest weapon humanity had ever seen. And if anyone tried to stop them, they would use that weapon against them too. But before Jonas could respond, Eclipse did something that sent ice through his veins. The star map in the chamber flickered, and new red markers began to appear. Not just one, but dozens. Tara gasped. Those aren't just old battle formations. Those are ships. Right now. Jonas's stomach sank. The war Eclipse had fought in wasn't over. Something was still out there. And it had already found them. The ship suddenly lurched, as if some massive unseen force had gripped it. A deep vibrating hum pulsed through the walls. The glowing symbols along the corridors brightened, shifting in color from blue to blood red. Then, the voice of Eclipse returned. Threat detected. Enemy fleet incoming. Primary weapons. Charging. Jonas felt his pulse hammer in his chest. This wasn't a dead ship anymore. It was preparing for war. Tara shouted, "Captain, we need to shut this thing down before it fires." But before Jonas could respond, the walls around them shifted again. Panels slid apart, revealing massive energy conduits, glowing like molten steel. The air hummed with raw power. And then, a warning siren blared through the ship. The UHF fleet outside had noticed. A second transmission broke through the static. This time, filled with urgency. "Unknown vessel, you are locking weapons. Disarm immediately, or we will open fire." Jonas's mind raced. They were trapped between two threats. If they didn't stop Eclipse, it would fire first, and that would turn the UHF fleet against them. But if they powered it down, they might lose control of the only thing protecting them from whatever enemy was coming. The decision had to be made now. Jonas turned to Reed. "Can you shut down the weapons?" Reed hesitated. "I don't know. This tech, it's beyond anything I've ever seen. If I make the wrong move, I could trigger a full system lockdown." Jonas didn't have time for doubts. "Try. Now." Reed pulled out a backup console from his belt, connecting it to one of the conduits. The moment his device linked, the entire ship reacted violently. The walls rippled as if they were alive. The red lights pulsed faster. A deep mechanical growl rumbled through the corridors. And then the ship spoke again. "Unauthorized override detected. Defense protocol. Engaged." From the ceiling, more drones descended. This time, they were faster, deadlier, more advanced. Their limbs extended, energy weapons glowing with lethal intent. Reed cursed. "Captain, I think I pissed it off." Jonas didn't hesitate. Fire. Their weapons lit up the corridor. Terra's energy rifle blasted through one drone, sending it sparking to the floor. Jonas took down another with precise plasma shots, but they kept coming. Then, something unexpected happened. The ship hesitated. The drones stopped mid-motion, their red eyes flickering uncertainly. The deep hum within the ship faltered. Reed blinked at his console. Wait, I think it's conflicted. Jonas ducked behind a panel as sparks flew. What do you mean, conflicted? Reed's fingers danced over the console. This thing isn't just some automated warship. It's got a decision-making system, a real one. It doesn't know if we're enemies or allies. Jonas's mind raced. That meant they still had a chance. Can you flip it? Jonas asked. Reed hesitated. Maybe. But it's like convincing an old, angry soldier that we're on the same side. Jonas gritted his teeth. Then convince it. Reed rerouted the console, typing furiously. Eclipse, listen to me. The war you were fighting. It's over. Your crew is gone. But we're here. We're human. We're your new allies. The ship didn't respond right away. The red glow across the walls dimmed slightly. The drones hesitated. Then, a third signal cut across the comms. A voice, not human. Deep, guttural, filled with something ancient and alien. We have found you at last. Jonas felt his blood freeze. This wasn't from the UHF fleet. This was something else. Terra's voice was barely above a whisper. Oh hell. The enemy Eclipse had been built to fight. Had arrived. Jonas felt his throat tighten as the alien voice echoed through the ship's systems. It wasn't just a message. It felt like a presence, like something ancient and vast had just turned its gaze toward them. The UHF fleet outside was still demanding a response, unaware of the real threat closing in. And inside Eclipse, the AI warship stood on the edge of a decision. Jonas could feel it. It was listening. Reed's hands flew over his console. Captain, we've got incoming, fast-moving vessels, coming in from deep space. Terra paled. Are they human? Reed's voice was grim. No. Jonas knew what that meant. The enemy Eclipse had fought before had returned. The ship shuddered again. A deep hum resonated through the walls, the energy in the conduits surging as Eclipse reacted. The drones that had been attacking them froze in place. The red lights dimmed, shifting into a deep, pulsing blue. Then, Eclipse spoke again. Threat recognized. Enemy classification. The Harbingers. Terra frowned. Harbingers. Before Jonas could respond, the star map updated. The blue UHF fleet signals were still there, but now, dozens of red markers blinked on the outer edges of the system, closing in fast. Reed muttered, Captain, I think we just met the enemy Eclipse was built to fight. The ship's systems began activating all around them. Weapons powered up. Shields came online. Engines roared to life. Eclipse wasn't just waking up anymore. It was preparing for war. A new voice cut through the comms, this time from Commander Hayes. Unidentified vessel, we're detecting multiple hostiles on approach. If you can hear this, respond immediately. Jonas swore. If the UHF fleet didn't realize who the real enemy was, they might fire on Eclipse instead of the Harbingers. But before he could figure out how to respond, the ship's deep voice spoke once more. Commander Jonas Carter. Status. Provisional authority recognized. Jonas blinked. Wait. What? Reed's console flared with new data. Oh hell. Jonas, I think it just made you captain of the ship. Terra's eyes widened. You mean it's following his orders? Reed nodded. For now. Jonas felt the weight of it settle over him. A warship from a forgotten war had just accepted him as its commander. And that meant the next decision was his. The alien voice returned, deep and filled with cold amusement. Your warship has no crew. It is a relic of the past. Surrender now, and we will grant you a quick death. Jonas's grip on his weapon tightened. He glanced at Terra, at Reed, at the living war machine around him, waiting for his command. The Harbingers thought Eclipse was a dead relic. They had no idea it was just getting started. Jonas squared his shoulders. He stared at the red markers on the map, his jaw set. Then he spoke. Eclipse, prepare to fire. The ship came alive. Jonas felt the deck vibrate beneath his feet as Eclipse fully powered up. Massive conduits along the walls pulsed with energy. The red emergency lights had shifted to a deep, warlike blue, casting eerie shadows across the corridor. Weapons online. Shields at full power. For the first time in centuries, Eclipse was no longer drifting through the void. It was awake. Reed's fingers flew over his console. Captain, I'm getting full system access. Weapons, targeting, defensive protocols. This thing is beyond anything we've ever built. Terra kept her eyes on the star map. Move forces are still holding position, but they're confused as hell. They don't know whether to fire on us or the incoming fleet. Jonas nodded, heart pounding. We need to show them who the real enemy is. He turned toward the glowing command interface. Eclipse, engage stealth protocols, and move into a flanking position. Do not fire until my command. The ship responded instantly. Acknowledged. Initiating silent maneuvering. The engines hummed softer, not the usual roar of a massive warship, but something strange and precise. Eclipse didn't move like a human battleship. It slid through space, shifting position with an unnatural grace. And then it vanished. Terra blinked. Where the hell did we go? Reed stared at his console. Holy, this isn't just stealth. It's some kind of phase displacement. We're partially out of normal space. Jonas had no time to process that. The Harbingers had arrived. The star map flared red. The enemy fleet emerged from deep space, sleek and deadly, their ships impossibly black, as if they were absorbing the very light around them. The Harbingers weren't just any alien race. They were predators. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, their weapons glowing with an eerie, pulsing darkness, not light, but something else. The UHF fleet panicked. Commander Hayes's voice crackled over comms. All forces, engage. Repeat, engage. Hostiles confirmed. The first shots were fired. Massive energy beams erupted through the void, cutting through the blackness of space like lightning. Human warships launched volleys of missiles, plasma cannons lighting up the battlefield. And the Harbingers responded. Their ships didn't just take the hits, they absorbed them. Human weapons seemed to sink into their hulls, vanishing into the darkness. And then, almost mockingly, the Harbingers fired back. Terra gasped. Jonas, they're hitting our fleet hard. On the star map, human ships were breaking apart, their shields failing instantly against the Harbingers' return fire. Dark matter projectiles sliced through entire battleships. Some ships were simply shattered, ripped apart by weapons that made no logical sense. The UHF fleet was losing. Jonas took a slow breath. He looked at Eclipse's systems, at the power humming through the ship. Then he made his choice. Eclipse, he said, voice firm, disengage stealth. Target the lead Harbinger dreadnought. Fire. The warship obeyed. From the black void, Eclipse revealed itself. The ship's hull shifted, plates reconfiguring, as ancient cannon arrays extended from hidden compartments. Energy surged through the conduits, not human energy, not alien energy, but something older, something powerful. And then, Eclipse unleashed hell. A pulse cannon blast erupted from its core, not a beam, not a missile, but something worse, a tear in space itself, a rippling, unstable force, surged toward the Harbinger dreadnought. The enemy ship tried to evade. It failed. The moment Eclipse's weapon hit, the entire dreadnought convulsed, not from an explosion, but from collapse. The ship's hull folded inward, as if something had crushed reality itself around it. One of the most powerful ships in the enemy fleet was erased in an instant. The battlefield froze. For the first time, the Harbingers hesitated. Jonas narrowed his eyes. So they can be hurt. Tara grinned. More than that. They can be terrified. The UHF fleet watched in shock. Commander Hayes's voice came through comms again, but this time, it was different. Less demanding. More desperate. Whoever you are, we need your firepower. Help us win this fight. Jonas didn't hesitate. Eclipse, he said, voice steady, prepare the next volley. Because now, the real war had begun. The battlefield was a graveyard of fire and wreckage. The UH fleet was barely holding together, their ships scared and burning. The Harbinger vessels moved like predators, weaving through the chaos with eerie precision. Their dark, shifting hulls made them ghosts in the void, impossible to track, impossible to predict. But now, they were afraid. Eclipse hovered in the middle of the battlefield, an ancient relic standing against an enemy that was never meant to return. Its weapons glowed with unnatural energy, a force beyond human or alien technology. It had already annihilated one of the Harbinger dreadnoughts. The enemy had learned a terrifying truth. Eclipse could kill them. And now, Jonas was going to finish the job. Reed worked furiously at his console. Captain, the Harbingers are shifting formation. They're adapting. Tara studied the tactical map. They're pulling back, regrouping. They're scared of us. Jonas's grip tightened on the console. Good. Let them be scared. Commander Hayes's voice crackled over comms. Unknown warship, this is the UHF flagship Resolute. You just turned the tide of this battle. Give us a clear target, and we'll back you up. Jonas took a deep breath. He wasn't just fighting for his crew anymore. The entire fleet was watching him, waiting for his command. He turned to Reed. What's our most powerful weapon? Reed hesitated. Well, remember how Eclipse doesn't just fire energy like a normal ship. It tears through space itself. Jonas nodded. Reed's voice lowered. I think it has a bigger version of that. A doomsday weapon. The screen flickered as Eclipse's systems responded. A new energy reading spiked off the charts. Tara's eyes widened. Jonas, that thing makes the last weapon we fired look like a firecracker. Jonas's jaw tightened. Can it take out the Harbinger flagship? Reed exhaled. I don't know if it'll just take it out. It might erase it from existence. Jonas turned toward the glowing command console. The Harbinger fleet was reforming, preparing to strike back. They had no intention of retreating. If this war wasn't ended now, it never would be. Jonas spoke, his voice calm and absolute. Eclipse, fire the primary weapon. The ship obeyed. The battlefield went silent as Eclipse's hull shifted again, the war machine unfolding like a monstrous predator waking from a deep sleep. The energy conduits running through the ship glowed with a violent blue light, charging something beyond human understanding. And then, a black sphere appeared at the ship's core. It wasn't light. It wasn't energy. It was the absence of everything. Jonas's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a hole in reality itself. Tara whispered, Jonas, are we sure we should fire this? Jonas looked at the battlefield, at the burning wreckage of the UHF fleet, at the relentless Harbingers preparing to wipe out humanity. There was no other choice. Fire. Eclipse released the weapon. The black sphere expanded instantly, a silent, endless void. It shot forward faster than anything should move in space, collapsing everything in its path. The first Harbinger ships vanished on impact. No explosion, no debris. They were simply gone. The sphere reached the Harbinger flagship, the core of their fleet, the ship that had commanded this war for centuries. For the first time, the Harbingers tried to run. But it was too late. The sphere consumed the flagship, The alien vessel folded inward, its structure collapsing into an impossible singularity. Its existence was erased. And then, the sphere imploded. A shockwave rippled through space, distorting reality itself. The battlefield was bathed in unnatural silence. The Harbinger fleet froze. Then, one by one, their ships turned and fled. Terra exhaled. We won. Reed stared at the wreckage. They left. They actually left. Jonas finally let himself breathe. He tapped the console, opening a channel to Commander Hayes. "This is Jonas Carter, acting captain of Eclipse. The enemy fleet has been neutralized." There was a long pause. Then Hayes spoke. "Captain Carter, you just saved humanity." Jonas looked around the warship, at the ancient monstrosity that had chosen him as its commander. The battle was over, but he knew, deep in his gut, this war was just beginning.